Chapter 17. Alternative Views in Macroeconomics. Alternative Views in Macroeconomics. Throughout this book, we have noted there are many disagreements and questions in macroeconomics. In this chapter, we discuss in detail a number of alternative views of how the macroeconomy works. Keynesian economics. John Maynard Keynes's general theory of employment, interest, and money remains one of the most important works in economics. In one sense, Keynesian economics is the foundation of all of macroeconomics. Used more narrowly in recent years, Keynesian sometimes refers to economists who advocate active government intervention in the macroeconomy. Monetarism. The velocity of money. Velocity of money: the number of times a dollar bill changes hands, on average, during a year, the ratio of nominal GDP to the stock of money. The income velocity of money, V, is the ratio of nominal GDP to the stock of money, M. The velocity of money. Because nominal income, GDP, is real output, income, Y, times the overall price level, P. GDP equals P times Y. Through substitution, V equals P times Y divided by M. The quantity theory of money. Quantity theory of money: the theory based on the identity times Vp times Y and the assumption that the velocity of money, V, is constant, or virtually constant. The key assumption of the quantity theory of money is that the velocity of money is constant, or virtually constant, over time. If we let V denote the constant value of V, the equation for the quantity theory can be written as follows. Figure 17.1 shows the velocity of money, from 1960 to 2014. The Keynesian/monetarist debate. The debate between Keynesians and monetarists was perhaps the central controversy in macroeconomics in the 1960s. Monetarists were skeptical of the Fed's ability to manage the economy. Milton Friedman advocated a policy in which the money supply should grow at a rate equal to the average growth of real output, income. Many Keynesians advocated the application of coordinated monetary and fiscal policy tools to reduce instability in the economy to fight inflation and unemployment. Supply-side economics. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, supply-siders argued that the real problem with the economy was not demand but high rates of taxation and heavy regulation that reduced the incentive to work, to save, and to invest. Supply-siders argued that the incentive effects of supply-side policies were likely to be so great that a major cut in tax rates would actually increase tax revenues. Despite lower tax rates, more people would be working and earning income and firms would earn more profits, so that the increases in the tax bases would outweigh the decreases in rates, resulting in increased government revenues. The Laffer curve. Laffer curve with the tax rate measured on the vertical axis and tax revenue measured on the horizontal axis. The Laffer curve shows that there is some tax rate beyond which the supply response is large enough to lead to a decrease in tax revenue for further increases in the tax rate. Figure 17.2 shows the Laffer curve. The Laffer curve shows that the amount of revenue the government collects is a function of the tax rate. It shows that when tax rates are high, an increase in the tax rate could cause tax revenues to fall. Similarly, under the same circumstances, a cut in the tax rate could generate enough additional economic activity to cause revenues to rise. Evaluating supply-side economics. One criticism of supply-side economics is that it is unlikely that a tax cut would substantially increase the supply of labor. In theory, a tax cut could even lead to a reduction in labor supply. Research done in the 1980s suggests that tax cuts seem to increase the supply of labor modestly. Although an increase in planned investment, brought about by a lower interest rate, leads to added productive capacity and added supply in the long run, it also increases expenditures on capital goods in the short run. New classical macroeconomics. The development of new classical macroeconomics. Although Keynes recognized expectations in economic behavior, traditional models assume that expectations are formed in naive ways that are inconsistent with the assumptions of microeconomics. If people are out to maximize their satisfaction and firms are out to maximize their profits, they should form their expectations in a smarter way. In this view, forward-looking, rational people compose households and firms. Rational expectations, 1 of 4. Rational expectations hypothesis. The hypothesis that people know the true model of the economy and that they use this model to form their expectations of the future. Rational expectations, continued. Rational expectations and market clearing. If firms have rational expectations, prices and wages will be set at levels that ensure equilibrium in the goods and labor markets. When expectations are rational, disequilibrium in any market is only temporary. In this world, on average, all markets clear and there is full employment and thus no need for government stabilization policies. Rational expectations, continued. Economics in practice. How are expectations formed? Do expectations reflect an accurate understanding of how the economy works, or are they formed in simpler, more mechanical ways? Research conducted in England since 1999 suggests that to the extent that gas prices increase and media attention to inflation increases, inflationary expectations will increase. Rational expectations, continued. The Lucas supply function. Lucas supply function. The supply function embodies the idea that output, Y, depends on the difference between the actual price level and the expected price level. If Y is real output, P is the actual price level, and PE is the expected price level, then Y equals function of PP expected. Price surprise is actual price level minus expected price level. Rational expectations, continued. Policy implications of the Lucas supply function. The Lucas supply function together with rational expectations implies that anticipated policy changes have no effect on real output. Any announced policy change therefore has no effect on real output because the policy change affects both actual and expected price levels in the same way. So there is a very small role for government policy in the economy. Real business cycle theory and new Keynesian economics. Real business cycle theory, an attempt to explain business cycle fluctuations under the assumptions of complete price and wage flexibility and rational expectations. It emphasizes shocks to technology and other shocks. New Keynesian economics, a field in which models are developed under the assumptions of rational expectations and sticky prices and wages. Evaluating the rational expectations assumption. When expectations are not rational, there are likely to be unexploited profit opportunities, but they are rare and short-lived. The argument against rational expectations is that it requires households and firms to know too much, while the gain from learning the true model may not be worth the cost. In the final analysis, the issue is empirical. Testing alternative macroeconomic models. Macroeconomists cannot test their models against one another to see which performs best because macroeconomic models differ in ways that are hard to standardize. The rational expectations hypothesis assumes 1. That expectations are formed rationally, and 2. That the model being used is the true one. The small amount of data available leaves considerable room for disagreement, a range needing more time to narrow.